Right, where are we? I think that'll do. My name's Steve O'Neill, doing this video from Cornwall, United Kingdom. It's 20 past 12, so it's now the 3rd of January. We're into the new year, we're into 2023. I'm not going to do a video saying what I'm going to think is going to happen. This is something that's just popped up. I've got loads of videos in my head, loads. But I set them aside and I wait for something, I don't know what. I wait for triggers. Or I wait for things to slot together. Wait for something to like go off in my head where he says, right, now's the time. So I've just had something like that happen. And I've had a video in my head for ages where I use this song. And what I'll do is I'll put the song at the end. So when I finish what I'm going to say, I'll just go straight into the song. And it's about broken families. It's about how the family just isn't treasured anymore. And it's all by design. The evil elite that I keep going on about, the fucking really evil bastards, they know how to fetch this planet down to the level of shit. They know how to fetch humanity down to the level of shit. It's by breaking up families, brutalising children. That's what all this paedophilia is about. It's paedophilia in the fashion industries, politics, powerful people who go after children, because that is the ultimate power you have over the family when you pluck a child from the family in whatever way you do it and you sexually abuse him. And it's not just, you've got the parents can't do anything, but the father's role in the family, father's traditional role in the family is to fetch home the bacon and protect his family, protect his children. And if he can't do that, he's nothing. A man is nothing if he can't fetch home the bacon, and if he cannot protect his wife and children, he is nothing. And that's what's been going on for decades. It's been a slow process where they chip at the family, chip at the men, chip at the family. The women are convinced they don't need a man. So now their children are available. The more available, they're not as well protected as they were in the traditional family. I always remember watching BBC. That BBC, British Broadcasting Channel, that's chipped away at the families for years and years and years and decades in its own little way. I remember watching Balamory. Because my little lad, and I used to sit and watch Balamory, and if I was changing channels and it was on, I'd go and have a look at it. For my spider senses told me there was something wrong with that programme. And I remember, in fact, this is timely because it's New Year. So I'm watching Balamory, and it was New Year's Eve. And you've got that fucking granny that sat in that chair, that Scottish granny. She sits in the chair and they fetch the kids in. And they put the kids down and they say, thank you, granny. And then they go off because she's a childminder. This granny, this old Scottish granny who sits in a chair is a childminder. She's an official one. She'll have been examined by the council. She'll have a certificate that says she's qualified to look after little children while people go to work. And that's her job. And she never got out of the fucking chair. And people used to wander in. Strangers. And they had like a Jimmy Savile character. And he had this fucking suit on. And he had this odd brownish suit on. He had his fucking chubby hat. He had a great big spotty yellow and red dicky bow with red spots. He had this bright coloured waistcoat, just like Jimmy Savile. The clothes distracted you from who he was. And he wanders in one day and he says, how are you, Granny so-and-so? And she's like, I'm all right. And they have a little conversation. The little kids are sat there playing with the toys. Never got out of a fucking chair. And then he wandered out. But one of the mothers dropped the kid off. She used to be an actress in Coronation Street. And she dropped her little lad off. He's about 5. Then she said, right, I'm off to work now. And she goes off, well, fucking granny, the little granny, the Scotch granny who's sitting in the chair. And she goes off to work. Anyway, she's only cleaning the buses New Year's Eve, late at night. She's on the night shift cleaning buses. So the BBC's making out that she's doing the late shift, the New Year's Eve late shift, while Granny's looking after her kid. They got a bit lost there because I don't think you're supposed to look after kids that late. Anyway, he only wanders in with his fucking yellow dicky boat with the red spots and he's something. He says, "How are you? You all right?" And she's like that, yeah, I've not got long left now. And she's cleaning the bus. And anyway, she comes off the bus and she's like, what's it? All of a sudden, New Year's Eve, all the fireworks go off. And they're looking at the fireworks and you got all the flashes and flares. And I just looked at that programme and I thought, you fucking horrible bastards. Single mother working New Year's Eve cleaning buses in Scotland, in Balamory. And the BBC thought that was a good script. But that's what it's all about. That's just a small example. I could go on and on about lots of things. So the family's fucked. So I'm going to tell you what happened today. I'm going up to the gym because I've started doing saunas. I feel they're doing me good. All of a sudden, I goes past this kid stood at the end of the walkway, the shopping walkway. Just typical kid. He's got his black tracksuit on, got a bit of a moustache, bit of a beard, curly hair, whatever, and he's on his phone. And as I go past him, he says, "Hiya, how you doing?" So I thought, did he say that to me? So I stopped and I said, "You all right? How are you?" So he says, "Yeah, you all right?" So I says, "Where do I know you from?" So he said, "The park." So he knows me from when I was homeless. So I'm thinking, is he one of the kids that used to hang around who basically are forced out of the park? And then I says, "Are you, what's it, son?" He was with the girl from Manchester now. So he says, no, he says, "You helped me out." He said, "When I turned up that night." I said, "Oh yeah, me last night." Because it was my last night in the park. I had this flat, but I had to wait 2 weeks for it. So I had 2 weeks. My last 2 weeks in the park was like, it's a bit, is it going to happen? Will it fall through? It was my very last night in the park. And it was dead quiet because it was, for about 3 nights, it was very strange. None of the other guys came back to sleep there. Because there used to be a few guys who came because they used to call it Jimmy's place. Because I quietened the park down. The kids left the park rather than come take me on. And I used to have my little cooker and I'd make them a coffee and that. And it all fell apart in the last couple of weeks before one of the heroin addicts, Stuart, he disappeared. And I liked Stuart, I really did. The Moroccan guy, he disappeared. Terry got a flat, or he got a room in a house a couple of days before. The Russian guy with the Cockney guy, they left. So I was left on my own for the last 3-4 nights. And in a way it was a very good ending, and it was meant to end that way. And Terry, he didn't want to be there after I left. He wasn't sure whether to take this room, but Terry just did not want to be in this park alone when I left. Poor little guy. So I'm there this last night and I'm reading my book, because I've got a book. I used to have a little head torch on. So I'm reading my book. All of a sudden this young kid comes round and he says, "All right." So I says, "Yeah." He said, "Do you mind if I sleep here tonight?" So I said, "Yeah, sure you can." So he sat on the bench. So I said, "Tell you what." I said, "If you go over there underneath the play thing," because it was a park, there's a play things. And there was a hole under one of the slides. It was all boxed in, but there was a hole. So if you go in there, said there's a sleeping bag, dry sleeping bag. Right, or quilt. So he goes and gets it and he comes back and he's got it and he's like, and I made him a drink. He said, "Oh, thanks." I said, "Oh, you're right." Made him a hot coffee or something. You used to have those little sachets from the pound shop. You had your coffee in it, had the milk in, and you used to have sachets of sugar. So I made him a coffee. And then what I did was, he's on the sleeping bag, so I said, "Yeah." I had 2 waterproof sheets. And I used to put one, I screwed them into the benches so that it came down, it formed a dry sheet over my sleeping bag. And I used to have a spare one that I used to put up because somebody brought a drill round, brother of one of the homeless guys, and we drilled into the concrete and I put screws in and and then I did it in the joist, and then I used to have a wind sheet if it rained, and we had the gale wind blowing. So I got that for him, and I had a couple of spare screws, and I screwed him over the bench like I had, so he's nice and dry. But he was phoning up. He was only 15, and he was being fostered in Newquay, and he didn't want to be there. He wanted to be with his gran in Penzance. So I don't know what happened with his mum, don't know what happened with his dad. He was from a broken home. And the people, the council, whatever, whoever they are, social services, they put him in a foster home, but he didn't want to be with them. He wanted to be with his gran. So he's run away, and he's done it a few times. So I said, yeah, you stay there. But I heard him phoning. He knew what he was doing. He was playing the system at 15. And he was talking to somebody, and he talked to somebody else on his mobile phone, then his power went. But the police turned up because they knew where he was through these phone calls, you see. Because he phoned someone to say I'm safe and all right, all that. So then the police turned up, policeman, little policewoman, little police pixie. She had a little ponytail. You know, she's only tiny. She wasn't much bigger than this 15-year-old lad. And then you had the big fucking copper with her. And they come round and I'm reading my book. And all the police knew I was in the park. They won't move me because I quietened the park down, you see. Instead of being a load of rowdy kids in there, it was nice and quiet. So the police left me alone. So they're talking to the young lad. And they said, all right, come on, you can come with us. And they took him away, which was what I would think he was playing for. I think he was doing this so he could get to his gran. So they'd realise he didn't want to be in foster care. So anyway, they drove him away. Anyway, they came back here. The cops came back about 20 minutes later. So you got the policewoman and the big fucking cop. Huge shoulders on him, looked like a rugby player. And I'm there on my bench, you know. I'm sat back on my bench in my sleeping bag. I've got my little fucking blue cover coming down because I'm not settled down for the night, you see. I'm still reading. Got my head torch on and I'm reading. And the policewoman says, thank you for looking after him. I said, no, you're right, no problem. She said, all right. But I could see the cop stood behind and he's looking at me as if to say, well, he's looking down his fucking nose at me, isn't he? Because I'm not a man. I'm not a man like him who's looking after his wife and kids, I should imagine. No, he's looking down, and you can see, you could read his eyes, I can read his mind. He's looking at me as a failure because I'm sleeping on a park bench. Full grown man. So this must have been 6 years ago because of what happened today. I can't remember. But it was the 28th of November. 6 years ago. So here we are now at the new year. So it was him. But first I said to him, there was another kid I helped. Kid wandered in the park one night and I was on my own again. There was nobody else there this night for some reason. And this kid wandered in and he said, so I said, yeah, all right. Because like you used to think he was wandering around at this time of night. It was about 3 a.m. So he got this young 16, 17-year-old lad. So anyway, I sat talking to him. Anyway, it turns out I knew his mum. Because when the job centre sent me 2 weeks working for nothing on a farm, on this charity farm, where we were doing work on the farm for no money. And it was to boost our self-importance, to build our self-esteem. And I met his mum there, and she'd been sent on it, even though she's got 2 school kids. She's got him, but he was a lot of trouble to her. She's got a daughter who's 16, 15, and she's got 2 lads who are like 3 and 4, and yet they're sending her on this course. They don't class being a mum as a job. You see? They class it as that woman. You can drop your kids off somewhere and you can go and work in the fucking bus station late at night cleaning buses and then go pick your kids up. So that's how they see single women, and single women don't get it, you see. That women think the grass is greener without the guy, but that's just a generalisation as well. So this kid, I got talking to him, I said, "Oh no, your mum." He said, "Oh yeah, yeah." So I knew straight away he was trouble for her and whatever. So I got talking to him. Anyway, he'd come in the park to commit suicide. He was going to hang him, you know. Whether he was or not, I don't know. But he'd come in to end it all. So I just talked to him for a while. All right. Anyway, he went away. He came back about 3/4 hours later and he brought me a sandwich. He'd been to the all-night garage and he got me a sandwich and a drink. So I saw his mum about 3 weeks ago and I was talking to her because she had an injunction out against him because he was like, and he was angry at her because no dad. Something had happened with the dad and that's what he was angry about, and he blamed her. So again, that was 6 years ago. That was like, it must have been a couple of weeks before I left the park. So there's another angry young man who's lost. So I saw his mum a few weeks back and she was telling me that he's sound now. He's met a girl from Manchester. He's living with her. He's got a little daughter to her. And he's told his mum, he said, "Mum, I love her so much and I'm not going to fuck this up." He said, she keeps her eye on me. She keeps me in place and I don't mind. So that was nice. So anyway, this young lad today. So he said to me, yeah, he said, so as soon as I knew who he was, I said, "Oh, good." I said, "How are you doing? Are you all right?" And it seems he's living in Redruth, but so I said, yeah, so I've been here in Penzance now almost 12 years, be 12 years. I said, but I now feel as though I live here. He said, "Oh, that's nice," he says. So I said, "How old are you now?" So he said, 22. So that's when I figured out, like, it must be 5, 6, 7 years ago. 6.5 years ago. So, well, yeah, it's 7 years ago. So I was talking to him, he says, "So how's things now then?" So he says, "I'm all right," he says. And a kid come past like onto me, he says, "Did you know last night?" He says, "No, I was working." So I now know he's working. So I think that's good. That's nice. He's got a job. So I carried on talking to him. He didn't look happy. But what can you do? He looked, what's the word? Resigned. He looked resigned to whatever his life was. So I got talking to him, so I said, "What are you up to anyway?" So he says, he says, "Nothing much." He says, so I says, "Well, it's been a few years now," I said. "It's nice to see you." I said, "Are you in a relationship? You got kids?" I said, "Usually, like, you've got kids by this age, you young uns." He said, "I was with somebody," he said, "but we split up." He said, "I had 2 kids." He said, "I've got a little girl, you know." He said, "I had a little boy, but he died." So I just thought, fucking hell, life has slapped you. So I said, "That's like hitting a brick wall, isn't it?" So he said, "Yeah." So I said, "So when something like that happens to you, it makes you think, and it makes you stop and think. You know, it's happened. It makes you realise that there are some responsibilities in life and you can't avoid them. And it's as though life is teaching you a lesson." He said, "Yeah." So he says, so I says, "So what's your plans for the future?" So he says, "Well," he said, "I'm hoping to move into Penzance soon." So I said, "Yeah." So I just said to him, "It's not the greatest place, but it's got everything you need. You're 5 minutes from the sea, wherever you are. You've got the bus, you've got the train. You can just walk this way, walk that way, and it's nice. I said, so Penzance is all right. I said, and that's why I feel as though I live here now after 12 years. He said, yeah, he said, that's the way I see it now. He said, I've realised. Because he did. I don't think he liked Penzance. He even mentioned it when I saw him on the bench. So we've got this situation of, and it's young men mostly, but they're chipping away at young people, they're chipping away at families. So more and more young girls are coming into this category. And sometimes, and they have the wildlife. What happens when you have the wildlife? Doesn't matter whether you're male or female, a child comes into play. So I have this thing where I say, I was talking to a girl last night. I know she won't watch this video, but she phoned me up New Year's Eve. And she's been phoning me for like nearly 3 years. And the last time I saw her, she was a baby. She was only a week old. And it's a long, long story how she phoned me up. It's a very, very long story. It's all meant to happen. And one day I hope it clicks with her that if she listens to me and listens to the music, she'll be on the road to recovery. But I think she's on the slow road to recovery, because some people just don't want to confront it, and they don't want to realise how screwed up they are. So she phones me about like 20 minutes to New Year. She's like, I think I was 30. How old was I? I think I was 31 when she was born. So I'm 67 now. And she's fucked up. And she put me on to a mate, I talked to a mate, and she's fucked. Well, not fucked up, but. And this is what's happened to families. And it's a shame, it's sad. But we have to go through there. I read a book years ago about Europe and all that, the Dark Valley. And it was about how the countries went through these dark times, and then we had the Second World War and it all blew up, and then supposedly things got better. But we have to go through these dark valleys, we have to go through these dark forests. I'm reading the Dark Forest trilogy now, I'll talk about it again. And we have to go through these dark times, and when you come out the other end, well, you have that experience. And it's like, I have that experience of helping that young lad, being there at that place, at that time, my very last night as a homeless person. He remembers it, and even though I haven't seen him from then, he recognised me today. I still have the same coat on. Even though I've got a couple of decent coats, I still go out in this coat because I love it. It's showing its age and it's like crap, but I still wear it because it's me. That coat is me, even though I've got a couple of decent coats. They must look at me and think, oh, fucking hell, he's on his arse, him. But it's not. It's my coat. It's who I am. So it's a shame for all these young people. But all you can do is offer them a kind word or a kind thought. And if you ever cross paths with them, just give them simple, positive stuff. No lectures. No, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. Just a smile. And simple knowledge. And that's the best you can do. But I'm going to play this video now. This song. And this song, you should get an idea of what I'm talking about.
Faithful, and I was never one to trust. pleasure zone. I'm forever black-eyed, a product of a broken home. I was never faithful, and I was never one to trust. Borderline bipolar, forever fighting on your nuts. I was never grateful, that's why I spent my days alone. I'm forever black-eyed, a product of a broken home. Broken home. Black-eyed, 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 faithful, and I was never one to trust. Borderline and schizo, and guaranteed to cause a fuss. I was never loyal, except to my own pleasure zone. I'm forever black-eyed, a product of a broken home. Broken home.
I did have a big problem when I got pharmaceutical heroin. Give me another cigarette.